It apparently is the season of either prop up Brock Purdy and talk about how good he is based on the metrics and what he's actually doing on tape, or calling him a game manager. There's no middle ground. There at this current point as we are in December and the 49ers are the top team in the NFC, and Brock currently has been to the top of the betting favorite in MVP, currently sits at 2 behind Dak Prescott after his performance this past week. But Brock Purdy is coming off a career game in regards to yardage. He threw for over 360 yards and was dotting up people left and right. But you still have people coming to doubt him. This time, it's a former number 1 overall pick, and he was a quarterback in the league for a good amount of time. So, just so we are all clear, when the term game manager is used, it's almost like a derogatory term for quarterbacks, basically, essentially stating, just like Cam talked about, they aren't winning because of Brock. That basically Brock is just he's driving the sports car, and the sports car is doing all the work or whatever. But game managers have this connotation that they aren't actually bringing all that much to the table outside of not making critical mistakes, as Cam talked about. But the fact that the biggest thing that I think stands out to me, like, listen, like, obviously Brock Purdy is not like Lamar Jackson. He's not like Patrick Mahomes. He's not like Josh Allen in a certain sense, based on pure physical stature and, perceived ability to how far they can throw the football, right? But to be able to sit here and say that the San Francisco 49ers aren't winning because of Brock Purdy, like, Cam, what are we doing, Cam? Like, do you watch the games? Do you actually watch do you watch 49ers football? Because at a certain point, when you can confidently get onto your own platform, his podcast or whatever, and say, well, the 49ers aren't winning games because of Brock Purdy. That's why he's a game manager. Huh? What are we talking about? The 49ers aren't winning games because of Brock Purdy? This is where, like, the conversation, like, we then have to kick back to Cam and say, Cam, do you watch the 49ers play? Have you watched Brock Purdy play? Have you seen the way he's elevated the offense? Have you seen what he's done? These kinds of things are just, and again, Cam's played football at the highest level. He almost won a Super Bowl. And so I don't know if this is a ploy to try to get people like me to react to it, or if this is genuinely how he feels, because he even called Dak Prescott a game manager, which again has a negative connotation when discussing quarterbacks. It's just how it is. Theoretically, and if we're talking about it factually, all quarterbacks are game managers. That's literally their number 1 job, is to manage the offense and manage the game, get the play in, get it to everyone else, get them in the right looks, get them lined up, be able to read pre and post, and get the ball to the right situation. Every quarterback is fundamentally a game manager. But again, what separates the elite from game managers is the people who can play outside of structure, right? To me, that is the definition of when you start to discuss kind of elite guys. And as of recently, this past decade, another element of that is the running ability, right? Their escapability, pocket presence, ability to escape, extend plays, and keep plays alive. Well, if Cam Newton just watched this last game, that's it, against the Seattle Seahawks, Brock Purdy did every single one of those things. On the deep ball to Ayuk down the left sideline, he had pressure in his face. He bailed out of the pocket to the left, flipped his hips, and he launched a perfect dime while on the move, fading to his left, and dropped it right in the bucket over the head of the Seattle defender, right to Brandon Ayuk. Well, isn't that kind of how we quantify guys that are playing outside of structure? That's not the structure of the play. The design the game manager wasn't asked to escape the pocket and then find uh basically Brandon Ayuk in like the fourth or fifth window and drop it in the bucket. That's not what game managers do. And just like the example of Deebo Samuel's touchdown, that was another play outside of structure because Brock Purdy is smart enough and good enough to make those plays. We've already discussed it. Deebo Samuel wasn't even basically in the progression. He was the last read in the progression. The primary was Jawan. Brock was able to understand that Jamal Adams was playing closer up, kind of creeping and eyeing the underneath, and he was playing flat-footed, and Deebo Samuel was streaking over the middle of the field, and Brock just uncorked it. That's outside of structure. The structure of the play wasn't designed to go to Deebo Samuel, but it did, and it was like what 50? It was about 50 air yards and a touchdown. I mean, again, at a certain point, I just have to believe some people just don't watch Brock when they say these types of things. Like I can genuinely, if I could have a conversation with Cam Newton, I would say, Cam, do you really watch Brock? And if so, let me pull up actual physical, tangible film examples, and I want you to break it down right here and right in front of me and tell me what this is. I have every play of Brock logged, so I could pull from any game. I could pull from any game back to last year, and I could pull millions of examples of and be like, break this down, break this down. What is this? What is that? What is this? And when you start to see how Brock is playing, even if he doesn't fit the prototypical mold of a Cam Newton, a 6'6", like shooting forward NBA style body type who can run and do all these crazy things. Um, I get that, but what Brock Purdy is doing is special. And not only is he doing it special on tape, but he's doing it special from a statistical standpoint. I mean, Brock Purdy has the highest passer rating in NFL history. That's better than Patrick Mahomes. It's better than Aaron Rodgers, and it's by 10 points better. Like Brock Purdy is doing things that things haven't been done since Joe Montana. 7 straight games with a completion percentage of 70% or more. The last person to do it in 8 straight games was Joe Montana. Passing touchdowns on deep passes. Brock Purdy has 9 of them this year. Guess what? Patrick Mahomes had 1 this year and 2 the previous year in which he won MVP. So again, it's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Oh, he has all these weapons, all this, all that. Well, so far, Brock Purdy on 48 and a half of his passing yards this season have come after the catch, meaning just less than half have come from Yak. Well, do you want to know something special about that? Oh, we'll see. Look, all his weapons, 48% of his yards go to Yak, yards after catch. Well, the average Yak for the past 10 MVP quarterbacks was 48%. Patrick Mahomes won it last year with 50%, 54% of his yards coming after the catch. So a lot of things right now just being thrown out there. And again, I'm speaking of this from a perspective of someone who's watched every single snap of Brock Purdy, studied every single snap. Obviously, I get the all 22. I break it down every week. I study Brock. I've studied him since he's entered the game against the Dolphins as a rookie. I'm just baffled at this point. Like, I got nothing bad to say against Cam Newton. You know, Cam Newton's played this game at the highest level. He was a former number 1 overall pick. He played quarterback in this league for a long time. I believe he was MVP at one point. I can't remember. But he had a good long career. But doesn't mean he studies like other players like that. So I don't know. I'm obviously firm in my beliefs of Brock Purdy. I've been pretty firm on them since last year because I study everything he's done. So it's easier for me. I don't need to rely on other people's opinions. So for me, when I hear guys like Kurt Warner, Steve Young, Joe Montana, greats who've played the position at a high level, kind of echo the same sentiments that I have about Brock Purdy, that's where I'm like, all right, I think I have a pretty good handle on what I'm talking about. I don't believe guys I don't believe guys like Cam Newton. I don't think he's breaking down the tape. I just don't think he is, because if he was, I think he'd have a different opinion. So that was my long-winded rant on his take. But let me know what your take is in the comments below. It's interesting time that we live in, that a quarterback is playing this well and continues to get, again, when you use the game manager term for quarterbacks, it's not a good thing. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.